help secure your victory.
Welcome back to HGC Europe. We're in the middle of the playoffs, our second series of the day, and Tricked Esports, surprisingly, is up 2-1 over Team Expert. And I think Coplin is going to show you a really solid replay to give you an idea of why they're so far ahead.
Let's go into it. All right, this one starts out with Tricked in a pretty bad position off the initial engage. They have Tyrael separated and at low life here. We're going to look at that early Aegis, just like Ganappa's been known for, to make sure his team is healthy enough to re-engage off of those. And we're going to see an Entomb come out here that ends up basically turning the game against them. So the Entomb traps the team, and they start to overcommit. And when they go for the re-engage here, things are not going well for Expert. I think they had an advantage there, but the Entomb just caused the team to overcommit a little bit. And with Trick still being healthy enough from the clutch Aegises early in the fight, they were able to just turn that around and take advantage there.
The Aegis just being devastating over and over here. And so it's getting to a point where it seems like Auriel is being played a lot, and it's really weird. Tricked, I'm seeing a lot of Auriel, and I'm seeing a lot of Sonya now. How do you start to even go about controlling these two heroes that are being very effective for Tricked on a day where it matters, too? This is playoffs. They want to win today.
I don't think that the Auriel in particular is something that they are going to worry too much about. I think Sonya might be the bigger threat here. Then again, we have seen Auriel bans, but oftentimes it's when you expect a double support to come your way.
Sure.
And you try to lock that out and say, okay, we deny Auriel, and having a double support is then going to be more difficult for you. So that's one of the things that I could see. But we have talked a lot about Sonya, and so far, they have been picking her up whenever they can, and I could really see an earlier ban against her now, because we saw already Sonya move higher up in the priority for Tricked, since they realize if we don't take her early, the second ban is most likely going to be targeting her.
Well, it's game 4 time. Let's figure out where we're going for Battlegrounds here. We are moving into Cursed Hollow, and the choice is Tricked.
Cursed Hollow is also going to shake this up a bit, because Abathur becomes, again, a huge problem as well.
Yeah.
So with Abathur seeing a lot of bans on Cursed Hollow, you have to really think about how you are running this right now.
Well, you've been around since the beginning of esports, with Cursed Hollow being one of our first Battlegrounds for heroes. What do you think about Cursed Hollow and how it's kind of being played nowadays?
It's very macro-focused. It's much like Towers of Doom, where you want to get those early globals. However, I think with the way the games have been going today, Sonya stands at 6-0. You'll notice that Team Expert chose to take first pick here. They may just be focusing on either banning or first picking the Sonya to just try to desperately remove that from Trick's arsenal.
Let's find out here. As Expert will be thinking about their ban now. You did mention the globals, Dahaka, Falstad, all being available, are always powerful in this battleground. You've mentioned Abathur. There's a lot of heroes here that receive priority when it comes to banning.
Yeah, this is a bit crazy. Anuburak was always a very early on that you want to have. Globals are important here. We see that reflected in the Dahaka ban. Abathur gains extra value. Then we talk about the specific heroes for this matchup, Sonya, for example. So there's a lot going on with this at this point, and it makes it so much more difficult for Expert to really target ban against the opponents. But there is Abathur banned out. The threat is just too much.
Abathur receiving a lot of play the last couple weeks, and today he's been banned out on any battleground that we have seen him so far in the past. Now Expert has a choice to move into Falstad. Falstad, again, one of the stronger heroes with battleground, controlling bosses, the wave clear, the macro play. All the things you need on the checkbox is available.
It feels as if there are 20 different heroes they could pick at this point, and they go for the Malfurion first. Are we seeing that Auriel-Sonya comp again? Is it the Sonya early on?
Expert willing to give up the Sonya, even after the way that Tricked has played with it today. We'll see if Tricked grabs it on the 1-2, but based on how the game's been going so far, I don't see why not.
Now, there's also Forza to consider, of course.
Yes.
If you still want to hold that global, that's another big one to consider.
They may be worried about taking the Sonya too early here and playing into a global focus strategy from Expert. You have to assume Expert has a plan to deal with the Sonya when they choose to give it up, despite how effective it's been today. Be interesting to see whether they choose to just continue riding Sonya all the way through today.
Yep, well,
There
there
it
it
is.
is.
Falstad Sonya.
Wow. So, Tricked Esports is going to stay with the Sonya. Now, I like them grabbing both Falstad and Sonya here and not grabbing the Auriel because of what you mentioned, the globals maybe being taken away. With it being Cursed Hollow, the map is so big that you can literally play around the Sonya and just start to beat your opponent in with infrastructure and map control. And so now that's no longer available here for Team Expert, as Trick Esport grabs both the Global and Sonya.
Welcome to the dive.
Okay,
Genji and Tyrael being played. So we're coming back to the thought process of a potential judgment, even though on this map, Sanctification is of course fantastic for the fights around bosses, around tributes. After Holy Ground, you can zone an opponent. So it all depends. I think the choice of Heroic on Tyrael depends a lot on what is being picked up as a support for the opponent, for Tricked.
Yeah, Lucio, who's kind of fallen off a little bit with his latest nerfs here, would be one that you would pick a judgment into, and you just burn down that character as quickly as possible, or any target because he doesn't have cleanse, and the sound barrier has a big wind-up time. But we haven't seen Lucio for a couple days. How's he feeling in the meta overall?
He has a place, but when you pick Lucio, you want to do so in comps where you're very certain in getting to level 16. His power spike is a lot later, and if you run him early, it's best to do so in a double support now. His healing output is just not what it used to be.
What I also want to highlight is that we do not see an Uberak yet, and that is a very likely pick. Orban could see that on the side of Trick. They have the next 2 picks, so it's very likely they're going into them. I like that fan, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
Oriel is immediately denied. It's just not going to happen there.
One thing to keep an eye on is boss control, very important on this map. Each side has one great ultimate for controlling the boss. Zarya hasn't been a big impact today, but look for a possible pick on Zarya later for the team that takes her to kind of secure their boss dominance with 2 important ults instead of 1.
There's the Nubarak now. Nubarak taken, and we have a Gul'dan with this as well. 2 damage healers, force that for the auto attack, zone control, Gul'dan with a Horrify. Sonya to follow that up with additional damage. They need their support still, but they can adapt now. We've seen Rega being played before, that is an option. Uther is still around.
Yeah.
So there is definitely, even with Lucio, a lot of opportunities for them. But I have to agree, I don't really see Lucio in the setup necessarily here for him. I don't think it would fit as well as the others.
Now, with Gul'dan being picked up, does that kind of lend itself to being a little bit towards Invocation more than Judgment because of that Horrify and trying to nullify it? Or is this possibility still available to dive into a Gul'dan if, of course, they don't get a support with cleanse?
I would say the thought process can always be there. With what they picked right now, I don't think it's going to happen. Tyrael, I feel, has to go into the Sanctification there if they want to go for the control. I would have seen a different setup for them, maybe setting up another melee for this outside of the Ragnaros that can dive the backline with them. With this setup, I think Sanctification is pretty much a must. Going into Judgment, I don't think would really net them those kills they need early on.
It looks like Expert is committing heavily to the late game again, picking up the Nazebo. They have a very kitey comp with Genji and Nazebo. The Ragnaros here is to help enable the Nazebo's ability to get into the late game, as his passive can definitely stall things out.
Huh. I'm actually a bit surprised about the Lucio pick, to be honest.
Well, if their opponents are trying to get the late game, you should be able to get there yourselves. It's double Warrior too. I mean, what do you think, Athon?
I think it's interesting because we highlighted Lucio's inability to heal effectively in the early game. However, the power spike of Expert is until the late game also. So by the time they're getting that heavy Nazebo damage and heavy Genji damage later, once the talents are built up, they're going to have that 16 from Lucio.
That heavy healing coming in, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm still a bit curious with the potential burst that we could see on the side of Expert. So that's the one reason why I thought Lucio might not be their choice here. So got to watch out for that a bit. They had other things to do. I mean, I know that Gnampa plays a lot of Lucio if he can't get access to Malfurion or Oriel, but in this case, I could have seen them head into a different healer. But it can work for them because of the late game that we talked about, the power spike on 16 compared what later on an Nazebo can deliver with the 20. But they have to be way more careful with, let's say, Gul'dan, for example, so he doesn't get bursted down, especially when Ragnaros tries to throw out his own ult.
I mean, I could see a world where we still go into the Judgment on Tyrael, Genji dives in, and Sulfuris match comes in. That trust is there.
Now I could see it, yeah.
Yeah, I could still see it actually becoming a thing happening. So we'll have to see if that actually will occur, as Team Expert has to put it all on the line here. We're going to game number 4, and if they lose one more match, they are out of the playoffs, and they're not going to Sweden. Trick Esport up 2-1. Let's see if they can finish the series.
The game is on. We are on Cursed Hollow. Tricked has the lead, and to the left side, it is Expert. 1 against 2 in the score. Nick on Genji, ADRD. Again on Nazebo. We have Bad Benny on Tyrael, Curson on Malfurion, and Blade on Ragnaros.
Tricked Esport on the right side. We're going to be having Lucio played by Nape. We're going to have Rimmer on Falstad, Crosby being played by, or playing Gul'dan. Eternal will be on Sonya, and Alex the Pro-G will be on Anubarak.
Now, I have to say that with this setup and a no-cleanse hero on the side of Tricked, if you go Judgment, you could potentially blow up. Remmer Ball on the Falstad, could try for Lucio and go deep. You have to make sure, though, that you, first of all, with Judgment, have Blade drop the heroic ability, that both of them hit really on point, and that Genji then delivers the final blow. If you make that happen, then you can blow targets to pieces. So you need to coordinate that perfectly. Then again, with Bad Benny being the main tank and this being Cursed Hollow, Sanctification gets a lot of value. So it depends really a bit on if the Team Expert wants to put all of the eggs into that one basket. So that's a huge question here for me. And let's not forget, Anubarak with Cocoon could try and throw a wrench into those plans.
Yeah, you have two strategies here, basically, is what you're saying. High risk, high reward, or the safe and standard play that really lends itself to the battleground.
I would probably decide to go into Sang just to be a bit more on the safer side, to also get the value more out of Nazebo in the late game. And I would be a bit worried about me trying to execute the combo and Anubarak shutting it down by quickly cocooning either Ragnaros when he fears it's coming, or Genji, so that the final damage cannot be put into play.
Well, for now in the early game, we have Poke on the bottom as ADRD and Kirsten are dealing with that. Push from Crosby and Gul'dan, while in the top lane, Ragnaros and Falstad are doing battle over their lane. In the middle, Anubarak is holding for now. Let's keep an eye out for who will grab those Giants at around the 2-minute mark. For the most part, in the early game of Cursed Hollow, it's really started to become pretty standard in terms of a 3-lane versus a 2-lane. Push out a lane, get the Giants, and work on that first tribute. And based on where it spawns, you usually decide how you want to deal with the first, I don't know, 7 minutes of the game.
I'm just always impressed how much pressure Tricked is able to execute with that Sonya in particular. Already a tower fallen in earlier level 4. They're really pushing these advantages they have. And Alex in the mid lane is just simply pushing it out, has to deal with Bad Benny here, but Sonya is already on the camp.
Yep, it looks like Tricked will be able to grab their Giants, and there has not been a move yet from Expert. And honestly, with the pressure being in the bottom side, they haven't had a chance to move over. Luckily for them, we will be having the tribute spawn in the top left, which will allow for Expert to defend those Giants that will be pushing in, as well as move in on possibly grabbing the tribute or some kills.
So the camp has been taken. We have an early level 5, which gives at least a stat advantage for Tricked any moment now. Camp is pushing in. We're still holding the top lane with Falstad, but he could fly down if he really needed to. Already Nick on his Genji attempting to push some pressure onto Alex and Nappa. Just a constant poke of Genji, which can be so annoying.
That it can. He can stall out these tributes for a long time, actually. Dropping in those Qs when he has the possibility. Falstad, for now, is still content with dealing with Ragnaros as he's pushing in as hard as he can in that top lane.
Yeah, so the top lane pressure as Falstad is in. Now down to the bottom, it really feels like both of the teams have a lot of time. They're not rushing this first tribute, they're not forcing it completely, especially Tricked is trying to get value out of those Siege Giants.
Watching Kirsten on here. He gets hit with the Impale. Crosby will step forward to bring out some damage. Eternal shows up. Kirsten's in trouble.
Yeah, Kirsten definitely is in a bit of trouble. And he is zoned, but can he still escape? Bad Benny helping him out. So even though he's moving to the top, can't retreat behind the wall, he's still fine.
If that burrow charge had connected with Kirsten, I think I could have seen a world where he did get killed off. But luckily the sidestep was enough, as well as the roots. And they hold. The tribute continues to be the main point of contention for both of our teams. And Expert is starting to win the poke war.
Yeah, they are currently doing really well with that. But one of the things I want to highlight is that we have adapt. Whoops! So much for the poke war. Down goes Genji. So Genji down and an early level 7 for Tricked also gives them the tribute. But I still want to talk real quickly about what we're currently seeing on the side of Ragnaros, going on to, not into Sulphurous Hunger, but Engulfing Flame. So a bit of a cooldown reduction, apparently trying to just dominate that lane up to the top and push it out even more heavily.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a couple of adjustments that we have with this currently. So let's see how that build... Yeah, he actually commits to it. I wasn't quite sure what to expect here, but on level 7 we now have him also with Superheated. So not really going into a Sulphurous, which is usually the standard when you are playing with Ragnaros here, but now completely heading into the Blast Wave. I'm actually interested to see what's going to happen if he uses that in... I don't think I've ever seen that completely used with Genji, if that is having an impact on it.
I think it helps with the Genji diving in, but also gives you the ability to deal with Sonya if she pushes in. You're able to get damage on her no matter what. The extra damage is enough to maybe chunk through.
Yeah, I mean, the level 7 talent doesn't really have an impact on Genji, so that's definitely one of the things to consider. But overall, if you try to spec into that, I wonder if Genji is the thought process behind it. If they're saying, hey, if we just dive in with Genji or with Tyrael as well, we get more value out of it. But it's definitely a bit of an adjustment that they make here, and we'll find out how that works out against what Trick is using so far.
Certainly a different build here. Alex Aproji has found an ADRD as he goes for the body blocks, gets some damage in overall, but he's actually getting his own damage as Nick goes in and gets a reset.
Yeah, Alex Over staying here, and he is down. And that is a double kill. Lucio also falling. Nick taking the opportunity with the resets to get the damage in. And yep, that is the tribute for Team Expert. So Tricked with Alex overstaying a bit, trying to be too aggressive, and then getting punished hard.
Punished hard. Trick Esport will take the time to rotate to the middle lane and get the 10, but that kill, those 2 kills were actually important for Expert. Now, they are tied on tributes 1-1, but they also get to level 10 at the same time as their opponent. So no bigger power play can happen here. Sonya doesn't move in for a boss in the top right. Things like that suddenly are not available for Tricked.
Well, it's definitely a big blow against them now. So we have the mid wall completely destroyed. 10 is faster for Trick, but not by much. Cocoon picked up. And we're seeing now Sulfura smash. Genji with the X-Strike. Okay, so X-Strike taken, and guess what? Obviously, Tyrael holds back his ult. We've been debating this for a long time. Big question now, what is it going to be? With X-Strike, I could even see Judgment more than before.
I feel like it is. Yep, there she is. Judgment into X-Strike Sulfura smash. Expert is putting everything into one basket here, hoping to get a victory.
And this is all, I feel a lot of this down to Cocoon now being used once the combo is about to be executed. If Alex can just mitigate some of the damage that is coming out of the opponent once the combo is about to hit, then they can save the target. Lucio is going to get his ult through, and then they can turn it around.
Look at the bottom left.
Expert needs that fight.
Look at it. They're doing boss.
Yeah, they're actually bossing.
With Maltherian and Nazebo, they are working on a boss, and they actually get it.
That timing. Yeah, behold, Ragnaros already. Look at that. Going straight for the Molten Core and trying to deny the tribute. They get everything.
Yeah, this is clever. They delay everything. They get the bottom lane cleared out. They have Ragnaros constantly clearing out that tribute. Alex, Aproji, and crew will eventually start to move in on the tribute when the Molten Core does finish up, but they're already taking boss damage on the bottom right.
They only have to delay. Expert simply wants the delay up to the top because they know the boss is getting value at the bot lane. It's an early boss, not going to get too much value, but still, here comes the combo, and the immediate Horrify saving Nappa, and that's what they need to do. Save the target, drop the Lucio ult, and turn it around.
The Sulfura Smash, I believe, just barely missed the middle of the center point, so it didn't get full damage. And Nape lives by a sliver of a health bar, and we'll heal up now and start moving in on the tribute.
Yeah, so they get the tribute. This is the second one for them to be taken. But that comp, it's so frightening. If it goes on Lucio, if he dies, it's all over. You need to somehow make that work, and it's all up. In this case, it was all up to cooldown. That Horrify, that saved him. Just making sure you Horrify the Genji so he cannot deliver the final strike is all you need to do there. Work with the Cocoon, work with the Horrify, keep the target alive, just somehow. The problem is there's 3 good targets on the side of Trick for this combo.
There are. You can get Falstad, Lucio, Goldan. All of them are great targets to kill out. Now, Expert did grab the fort in the bottom right corner, so the boss pushing in there really worked out for them, so they'll be good in that regard. Next tribute, though, is Curse for Trick Esport. If they can survive another one of these combos, get a tribute, they can start to make their mark on the battlefield.
Yeah, and now we have exactly that happening. So the combo is going to be ready in time for Expert. They have Judgment, they have Sulfura Smash in a few more seconds. The X-Strike on Genji is also being off cooldown. The early level 13 talent even gives them a bit of an edge. Trick should have that any moment, but Falstad will have to fly up to the top if they want to contest. Bit of poke coming from Gul'dan, that's all they need. And we have 13 versus 13.
Crosby steps forward, does bring out the peel, and Alex Aprogi has used his Burrow charge, so we're going to have to wait for him to have that available. Falstad has flown in. Eternal moves in for the engage.
Blade rather low here, needs to be careful. Horrify, ice block to negate it, but Blade is low. Here comes the Ragnaros ult, but one kill already against Rack himself. Falstad is down, and Lucio is dying too, but Malfurion and Azebo are also biting the dust.
Eternal coming over, if he can save him. No, Nick does fall, and a fifth member left. Bad Biddy does survive here, but the rest of his team gets picked off.
What a bloodbath. 7 heroes dying in that encounter. Tricked walking away with a tribute. They can even time it here. We have them with 2 heroes still alive, a Noob and Sonya, and only Tyrael is still there for the opponent.
Crazy fight overall. ADRD barely surviving with the ice block. Falstad getting killed there by the overall engage. He lasted for a second. Lucio actually hit a really good sound barrier, but you can see the potential of the damage that comes out from Expert if they are able to pull off the combo. Third tribute, now grabbed.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why that didn't go completely Expert's way was that Eternal attacked the backline immediately, put the pressure on Nazebo and also on Ragnaros. So they wait before they cap the last tribute just so that they can get the curse when everybody is on the map, when they have their full team available once more. And they are attempting to turn around to the top lane when Nazebo is the target.
ADRD is the focus here. Hammering will connect. He's got Gargantuan as well on the left side. Judgment is up, but Bad Benny isn't close enough to actually pull it off yet. Nabe's here to help keep him alive. Even pops a sound barrier, afraid of Tyrael coming in.
Blade also needs to be very careful here. Blade in trouble, trying to get away. Drops the Sulfura smash on Eternal, but it's not enough to do anything here, just trying to stop him and saving himself. But the experience league for Tricked, dude, they are a level ahead, heading into 16, and they dropped nearly every fort, the one in the bot lane, very likely to fall to.
For me, it's coming down to one more combo here from Team Expert. Now, granted, they still have Nazebo at level 20, but if a boss gets picked up, and Trick Esport is doing that, and they're able to push in and get keep pressure on their opponent with the Falstad, this game becomes very difficult for Expert and almost unmanageable. They'll get to a point where they fall out of the playoffs because Trick Esport can run them over.
And one of the problems now also is the level 16 talent. That's the power spike for Lucio. That's really where he gains so much momentum thanks to his healing power. So this is something that will give Expert a lot of trouble. Now, they themselves are, of course, trying to get the 16 before they engage into another fight. But I'm completely with you when you're saying a combo is really needed. They need to make this work. The Judgment combo with a Sulfura Smash, and for that, they also have to wait another 17 seconds for Sulfura Smash to be an option again.
13 seconds and counting for that Sulfura Smash to come up. Boss has met the keep wall on the top left, and everyone from Trick Esport is here. They're even ignoring the Mercs in the middle.
Blade will Molten. Are we going to see Gust to interrupt it? That's the Molten Core. That's the Gust for the interrupt. And now they go in. They want the keep. Great move here. Very well done. Completely understanding what the only defense for Expert is at that point in time.
The Gust hasn't pulled out there, so no Molten Core. Fear even being used on Genji, and they are working on this core. Molten Core does come out at the last second, and this could be bad. Judgment pops out, Sulfura Smash connects.
Wrong target. They are going for Lucid, not hitting him completely. He's able to walk away. There was no X-Strike being used. Genji could not pull that off. Great play here by Trick, dodging all of this, and they get the keep. Gust was used before. 1.5 level lead nearly, and Expert doesn't have the keep, has finally hit level 16, but they are facing a very, very tough game from here on out.
Yeah, the only positive to come out of that was the middle fort being killed off by the mercenaries. Team Expert is moving in for a boss on the left side, getting to a point where they feel like they have to make a Hail Mary and force a fight.
I have to admit, I didn't even see why Genji didn't use the X-Ray. Was he stunned out by Nubarak? What happened there?
I missed it there. I was watching Nappy the entire time.
Yeah, it seemed really as if he just wasn't on the level. Maybe Nubarak zoned him enough and the cocoon wasn't used. Now he himself is in trouble. Nick is nearly falling, but is able to move out. But the big problem still remains. If you don't have all 3 elements of the combo in play, then you just cannot hope for a kill there.
Another tribute over to Trick Esport, and it's getting dire here for Expert. They need to get 4 levels, not give up a boss, and not get cursed in the next few minutes.
Combo is available again in 2 seconds. 2 seconds, he can go for it again. Cross B with a Horrify. Maybe a bit too early here. Not sure if that was really needed, but they're playing it safe. You don't want to risk anything. And Expert, now that they have 16, is dancing around. If one hero oversteps, the combo could annihilate them.
Especially with Holy Ground being here. can lock somebody out and then go in for the combo. Bad Benny on the right side starts to move in for Crosby. He will use Rain Life to live for now. Bad Benny's getting low on health. He gets Burrow Charge. He is able to jump out on the right side, but he is low.
He's really low, and Crosby wants to finish him off. He cannot use that combo any longer. Already the sound barrier being dropped, and that is going to be the end of Tyrael. Tyrael is falling. This is bad news.
Eternal crew have to be careful on the left side. Bad Benny is getting away for the moment. Will he go for a combo before he falls down? Okay, he gets killed last second. My heart raced there. So Fierce Smash does connect. Ariel gets a kill. Oh my!
Oh, poor Falstad. You kill the Tyrael before he uses his judgment. Even the cooldown dropped. And then you are, okay, win-win. He uses cooldown and we still get the kill. Falstad is already a happy panda, and then all of a sudden he gets the Fura Smash stunned. Tyrael explodes on him. He falls.
Very unfortunate for them. Now,
trade value right there.
That is, right there, yeah. That is definitely a one for the highlight reel. We did have some catapults in the top left core, but they are going to be dealt with pretty swiftly here by Ragnaros. Oh, I hear a Horrify in the bottom left. They're going in for Genji. He drops a deflect. He uses X-Strike to go for the escape. Does he have his dash? I'm not looking like it here. Curson, oh, Eternal gets it.
Bodied by Sonya once again. Our all-favorite Barbarian is going to town here. But yeah, that last fight was pretty cool. Boss engage saves him for now, away from the spiders. Now keep that power spike on 20 still in mind. The Expert is in a bit of trouble, no doubt about that. But they are still not out of this game yet. Keep in mind, they destroyed 2 forts as well. And if they can win one big fight and capitalize on a curse or a boss is taken, they can still turn this. This is not unwinnable.
Yeah, Trix is threatening this boss here. They want to keep all of the attention down here for Team Expert. Alex Approach getting low on health here. Sound Barrier will be popped. Gargantuan out as well for ADRD. But the more time bought, the more time the catapults can be effective. ADRD gets in aggressive here. He wants to hop on top of the point. Holy Ground comes out. They steal the boss.
Oh, wow. Boss is stolen. Tyrael.
So fierce.
Oh, Falstad.
ADRD low aside. Twilight Dream for the cleanup. ADRD still living. Here's a judgment from Bad Benny, and Team Expert's turning it around.
Just to put that into context, unbelievable. Alex is going to fall. Alex is going to fall. Yes, you can run, but you can't hide. This is it. Just to put this into context, overall, 4 kills for Team Expert, but the original fight was a 4 versus 5. A 4 versus 5 in favor of Trick. Look at this. The boss is stolen. 3 heroes killed. It's amazing. Alex takes way too much damage at first. That's why they have to disengage. They can't burn it down. Bad Benny is waiting. Drops in the Holy Ground. Steals it away. Cocoon comes way too late. This is fantastic, and here is where the kills just start. That is great for Expert. It was the worst case scenario for Tricky. It doesn't get any worse than this.
No Gust used in that entire use of that boss. 20 to 20 here, and Team Expert is going for the core. Sonya will spawn. Falsehead's up in a second here. He's going to have the Mighty Gust. He drops it, but there's a half-health boss here, and we're going to a game number 5 as Team Expert somehow, some way around the throw pit will tie up the series.
What a throw. It was a great game by Trick. They played really well. They had good control. They took the fights. They dodged the combo whenever they could. And then at some point, they thought, hey, we have an opportunity here. Try to go for the boss. And if they get it, it would mean keep number 2. But as it happens, they throw. Alex takes too much damage. Once the Nubarak was so low to the boss alone, I think he got also caught by the stun. And then we have Molten Core, and that's the end of that.
End of that. Cawthon, drop some knowledge on us. What happened there besides from a throw pit?
Whew. That last fight was a little insane. So as soon as they had to use the sound barrier in order to just avoid not getting poked out slowly, and the boss had about 20%, I think at that point you probably want to disengage. However, you could see that they still were relying on the Falstad to secure them that boss, even if they lost a member or 2 for it. The big play on this is that knowing that the Falstad is going, his only option is to barrel roll over the wall towards the fort and then gust the Tyrael out of the pit. Mouth puts his roots in a location where it interrupts the Falstad's barrel roll, and he can't use that gust at an effective angle, and that secures the boss.
I think the only thing they could have done, they don't see Tyrael. They don't know where exactly he is. Blind gust maybe, I think it was close enough to gust him away, but I mean, he needs to guess where he is.
At that point, you're guessing, or I mean, if the mouth hadn't been quite as on top of things, the Falstad would have been able to delay the cap at least, but I think they still would have gotten massacred there anyway.
Yeah, that was a a really rough spot, and they lost a 5 versus 4.
Absolutely
lost 3
incredible.
heroes plus the boss.
Well, guess what? Good news for all of us. We're going to game number 5. We'll be right back. We'll see you soon.